Welcome back to another exciting episode of Epic Understanding. Now, tonight, I have part two of a wonderful event where I get to interview a mother and son team who wrote books about how they turned a very, very challenging event, a painful event, to something triumphant. So I will welcome back Corey and Anastasia Stevens. Hi, guys. How are y'all doing?
Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. You know what? You shared so much. You both shared so much. You're so inspirational. I started getting feedback about your interview, how you were touching people's heart. Corey, you did a fabulous job. I want you to know that. I really appreciate that. And Anastasia, I want you to know that my mother was personally
Oh,
touched by you, but I texted you that. I
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's so special. That means so much to me. I'm so appreciative. I'm grateful.
You know what? I'm just going to be honest. She wants to show you her scar. She does.
Shut up.
I'm very serious. She wants to show you
Yes.
her scar because she feels like you're gonna understand based off of the interview the other day. So maybe we can make that happen.
Absolutely. I'm all for it.
Awesome sauce. So Corey, I hear you had a very special day at school today.
Yes, I did.
That's amazing. Did you happen to read someone your book?
Uh, I gave someone my book a few weeks ago so they could read it.
Uh-huh.
And then you?
So I read my book today. I have a copy at school.
Uh-huh.
Read that, and when I finished the book, I started crying.
Oh, now why did you start crying? What happened with that?
Well, it's mostly because of my mom with cancer. I didn't like it, but it was all good at the end.
Mhm.
So, what were you feeling when you started crying?
I felt happiness that my mom was still
Oh,
alive after that.
wait. That is so beautiful. You felt happiness and you felt alive. I wasn't expecting that answer. I mean, how did you get there? I don't know if you can really unpack that for me and explain it to me, but I'm so curious. How did reading your book and reading about your mother make you feel alive?
It made me feel alive because, well, she's a breast cancer survivor, and we all know that uh, breast cancer awareness it's around the corner. So
You are right. Look at you. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You go, CJ. You go, CJ. You know what? You're magnificent and you were living a walking, talking miracle kind of life. I love it.
Yes.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful. So, since you are, living a miracle, um, I'm curious, do you have a scripture in your book that you want to share?
Mhm.
yes, I have one.
Let me hear it. I want to hear it.
Psalm 56:3. When I am afraid, I put my trust in you.
Mhm.
All right. Very simple. You know what? Sometimes us grown folks, we try to make it complex,
Mhm.
but it's not so complex. God tells us to have a faith like a child.
Yes.
I think I might need to model myself after you.
Indeed. Indeed.
I think that's what I need to do. You are you are very strong, and you have a very sound mind, and you have a very thoughtful and warm heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm curious. You have a lot of scriptures in your book, and you have a lot of information in your book. How did you choose what to put in your book? Because writing a book is not always that easy.
I chose it because I was working with my mom, discussing what we should put in the book.
Hmm. So sometimes it helps to talk it out.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. Now, you were giving me some advice earlier, and it was you were telling me that if there was a kid who wanted to write a book, they should do what?
They should probably go and ask their parents if they actually want to write one. It's okay with if it's okay with them, then they should just do it.
Just do it. Is that your Nike ad?
Just do it. We're
Just do it.
gonna.
Just do it. All right. I really appreciate that. Now, I want you to know that I do recognize it's a school night. I'm curious, Corey, though, what were you feeling? What were you feeling when your mom told you that she had cancer?
It literally made my heart break. I did not like it at all. I still
Mm,
get cancer at that point, but throughout the days I made sure more and more that my mom would be okay.
hmm. So, did you know what cancer was?
At at first I did not, but we went through it a couple more. We went through it and I got it. I knew what it was. I didn't like it, and that's what she went through.
Hmm. Do you have any other friends who have parents that either have cancer or maybe they're sick? Do you know any kids who have parents that are in that situation?
Not that I know of.
Hmm. Well, I bet you somewhere along the line you might meet a kid who has a parent who's sick, and I bet you will be able to help them.
I agree.
I bet you'll be able to understand. I'm so thankful to have met you, Corey. Is there anything you want to tell our audience before you run off and get ready for bed?
Um, I'm not sure. Let me think.
Okay. Well, you think about it for a moment, and I'm going to ask your mom a quick question because I know you guys. Um, we're going through this big thing with healing and cancer. And it wasn't, we can have cancer, we can be sick, but it unravels everything.
Yeah.
We talked about the dynamics with your husband and the dynamics with your mom. And it's not like they exist in a bubble. You shared with me that your mom and you actually were trying to figure out your relationship from the past,
Yeah.
right? How did it come to mind? I know what I'm going to do, write a book. And by the way, my son's going to write one too. Where did that come from?
It didn't. I think it was truly a guy thing, honestly, right? So, like we talked about, in our last post, our last discussion, my girlfriend told me about Caring Bridge, and it started with journals. And
Hmm.
I went away to Texas for a breast cancer conference. And while
Hmm.
there were so many amazing presenters. But what stuck out to me was a father who had lost his wife and
Mm.
um, his daughters, right? And their process. And I thought, I need to do something with my kids. I need to reassure them. We need to have some conversations. And when I came back, God put it in my spirit that mommy has cancer. And so I'm like,
Mm.
CJ, and he's like, Mommy, I want to write the book too. And so we
Mm.
started the conversations there. And that's how Mommy Had Cancer was born. And post that, I had already started journaling and doing all the things. The evolution came very soon after.
I got it. I
Yeah.
got it. Now, CJ, I think you were going to tell me about your pictures in your book and things of that nature.
Yes.
Where
Well,
did they come from?
It came from the heart.
My gosh. My gosh, you know what?
listen,
You are a heart melting kind of guy. You are a heart melting kind of guy. Can you do me a favor and hold your book up? Very beautiful, very beautiful. And how many pages are in your book?
There is about 22.
About 22 pages. And do you have a special note in the book for anybody, any of your readers? Or do you have like a dedication in your book?
no,
No.
No,
no, we did not do a dedication.
that's okay. I bet you your book is ultimately dedicated to your mom.
Yes.
I think so. I think so. Well, CJ, I am going to bid you a good night. And I want you to know I appreciate you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you have sweet dreams, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Let's
Bye bye for now, sweetie.
love you.
See ya.
Bye bye. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Super cute. So
Thank you.
mature.
Thank you.
So smart. Oh my goodness. You have every reason to be proud.
Oh, I can't stop smiling. I was amazed at the last conversation that we had. He continues to awe me.
You know what? You ask him a simple question and then he comes out with this just heart melting
Yes,
response. I'm like, what?
yes,
I
yes.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, because CJ's gone, you might want to just slide yourself over a little bit. Wrong way, other
Other way,
way.
other way.
There you go. It's like the opposite, right? There
Yes,
you go.
there you go.
Now I just want to ask you some of the same things that
Sure.
CJ and I were talking about. Who did you publish your book through, and how did you select that particular organization?
Yeah, we ultimately ended up going with Christian Faith Publishing, and I wanted um, a publisher that instilled the same values that I had, right? Something that
Okay.
was specific to what I was talking about, that I wouldn't
Mhm.
feel edited or I had to modify my content for any reason. So that was one of the best reasons I went with
Mhm.
Christian Faith.
That's beautiful. I like that. Now, I just want to remind everybody, Epic Understanding, although we definitely are about the heart, we are also about the business of it all, so that we can, partner and grow together and understand how to do the things that, matter. I say that, the Coach Love Show is about the heart of the matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
like being at the kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
And then epic understanding, it's, about the head. And it's like being at the water cooler, learning, best practices and the tricks of the trade so that
Yeah,
we can all grow and do better together. So you found them to be, a solid. Did you enjoy working with them?
they were amazing from first conversation. I believe the first lady that I spoke with, her name, I believe, was Marion. And
Hmm.
not only did we have a great conversation, not only did she confirm my thoughts with both mine and CJ's books, but she prophesied. And I was blown away by that
Wow.
interaction, just that one interaction. And I'm like, yeah, this
Hmm.
is where I need to be. I need to be here. So, yes, every interaction has been amazing. They have been
Wow.
very timely with their responses. Where I needed
Hmm.
support, they were right on point.
Hmm. And what's the name of that company again?
Christian
Christian
Faith Publishing. Hmm.
Christian Faith Publishing. All
Yeah.
right, I love it. I'm also curious about this. What was the cost like on your end to get your book published?
It was reasonable. I think, and then you can customize your packages, right? So I had, with my package, there was the actual book, there was the typesetting. They chose help. Well, they gave me a layout that I could choose from, as well as we did some promo work, right? So they created a poster for me. They started my press release, all of that information. I spent about about $1,800 or so. So it wasn't really bad for all of what I was.
No, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
That is so, you know what? That's doable.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, this is not me, but I do know some women who spend more on their shoes and their bag than
Dan, I
that.
hope to be one day, one day. I would love to. Maybe one pair.
You know what? I was thinking, I don't want a bunch of, $2,000 shoes and bags. I just don't.
Yeah.
That's so, you know, I'm okay with Neiman Marcus and
Yes.
Macy's.
Yes,
'Cause
absolutely.
that is above Neiman Marcus and
Yeah.
Macy's.
Way, way, way above.
You know, that's above that. I would much rather
Yeah.
use my money for good things that actually matter in this
Yeah.
world. You may or may not know this, but I'm very passionate about foster children
Mm.
and them having the things that they need.
Yeah.
Children are our most treasured resources. At
Absolutely.
least they should be.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think nurturing the best of people, especially while they're young, is super important. I truly desire one day to build a business that is about the evolution, specifically dedicated to young women, and giving them the tools that they need to succeed. So that is on my to-do list. It is actively in motion. So yes.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So I know the process that you went through in writing the book. You took
Yeah.
your journals in order to get that done, and then you had these other ideas that you wanted to bring in. Was there an outline process that you went through, or how did that go?
So the other beautiful thing about Christian Faith is they provide you an outline, right? They give you the step-by-step process of here's where you're going to go, and once you complete that, you move on to the second one. Every process that we went into required my approval, so no one was doing anything without me having some solid input into it. The one caveat about using this particular company is that you have to select your own editor, which was an additional cost, but it was minor, right? I chose to use Fiverr and selected my editor there, and she was absolutely amazing.
So let's talk about Fiverr.
Yeah,
For those who don't know, Fiverr is a online. It's almost like a temp
it's
agency, but
amazing.
online.
Yes, it's amazing. Yep.
hmm And people are. You can hire people from all over the world. Where was your person from?
She was actually out of New York, which was awesome.
Get really?
She was out of New York. Yes.
I'm just really surprised because
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear like the Philippines or
No,
something.
she was actually out of New York. She was amazing, super responsive. I don't remember her name, but when I sent her the the manuscript and she went
Mhm.
through it, I think in 3 days or something like that, something amazing, and turned it right back around with all of the edits, all of everything that I needed. Plus, she some recommendations. She's like, I think this is a great book. It'd be probably better if you add some pictures. And I took her suggestion. Absolutely did.
Okay, so she even told you to add pictures in your book.
Yeah,
She did all of your, spell check and your
all of it.
commas, and all of that kind of stuff. So you
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about any of that.
I think, once you're in this process for so long, you've read the book so many times, you tend to overlook certain things because you're reading it the way that you say it to yourself. So it was important for
Absolutely.
me I needed to outsource that. Know when to outsource.
You know what? I encourage anybody to outsource. If they're writing a book, please
Yeah.
don't try to edit it
Yeah.
yourself. It is anybody who's written a term paper knows that you really cannot edit your term
No,
paper yourself and get perfection. You
no,
might get pretty
no.
good, but you
Yeah.
won't get perfection. And a labor of love like this, you certainly don't want it to go out with obvious mistakes.
That's right. That's exactly right.
You know, a subject matter like this is too tender and way too important to do that.
Yeah.
So, um, so you have your editor and you have your publisher. What other things does someone need? in order to successfully launch their book?
Yeah, I think you need to think about intentionally what your cover needs to look like. I think that's what people see immediately, right? That's every book, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
luckily, I had some photos taken. Well, it's another blessing from my best friend. I had some photos taken during the process that I ended up leveraging for my front and back cover shots. And they absolutely fit. Fit the mold. So,
They're
yeah,
perfect. So that didn't come from Christian Faith. You
no,
provided that.
yeah, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So far, I understand you need a publisher.
Mhm.
You need your ads, your promo material, and then you also need an editor.
Yes,
What else? What else do you need?
time.
Time. How long did it take?
So and I will caveat and say fear got in the way throughout the process. So I would get through a portion of it and then get nervous, scared. I don't know if I should share this. Maybe that's too much, and I would pull back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from beginning to end, it took me 2 years to complete everything.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So you know what? I love you, but that means that Corey was 8 when he was writing.
Yes. Yes. Hard
Okay.
conversation. And that's the other part of the process for his book was we needed to break down what we were going through in a way that he understood, and
Mm,
also allow him to process his emotions. So there were some times where he didn't want to talk. There were some times where he didn't
mm.
want to, put in the time with it. And you have to be patient with that process.
Okay, that's very good. Now, where does your husband fit in this grand scheme of things? This picture of the book writing.
He's my wingman, right? If I needed him to listen to something, he was there. But it's
Hmm.
so fresh to Corey that he's like, I can't be all in. And so I respect that. I think it's everyone has their process of healing. And so for him, he was strong support. He was the pusher of, babe, just if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, don't. If you want to
Hmm.
add it, add it. This is your book, this is your voice. So he was a strong advocate for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any pitfalls that we should be concerned about if we're, writing a book?
I would just say be intentional about the message
Mhm.
that you want to put out. Be intentional about what you are willing to sacrifice or compromise on. Be intentional about the conversations that you're having, about what you really truly want to do. Right? I think every person's journey is different. No one is going to write the book the same way. What I did probably won't work for someone else, and that's
Mhm.
okay. It is your process.
Mhm. So, what's the difference between being self-published and the process you went through?
Yeah, so self-publishing is completely you're doing it all yourself. There are no third parties, right? You are writer, you are editor, you are designer, you critique it, you go and send it to your vendor, whoever your vendor may be, to print it, and then you push it out yourself. That's
Hmm.
self-publishing completely. I went through a third party, right? So I had assistance with all of the hard, what I consider the hard stuff, right? I didn't want to
Hmm.
think about what the typesetting needed to be. I just needed you to provide me with some options. I didn't want to think about what printer to use, right? Or if I'm using the correct printer. So I leveraged that for that process as well. And even thinking about um, the design and how the typesetting should be on the cover. That's important. Do you want it centered? What kind of font do you want? Like they gave me options for all of that. So I leveraged every opportunity that I could to get some help. And I did start out the self-publishing route, and it wasn't for me.
I got it.
Yeah.
And so, did you um did you get a certain amount of books along with that for your $1,800,
I did
or
not.
how did that work?
So the book cost of buying your first book, you get a discounted rate on the price of your book, right? So I bought 200-ish copies for our book signing, and I got 50% off of my price of my book, right? So I bought for that, but I can sell it, and that money comes to me.
Okay. Okay. And then how do you get additional copies of your book? How does that work?
Yeah, I can always reach out to them. I'm still a part of them. Like they're gonna replenish my copies as long as I ask them to replenish my copies.
And so is that a discounted rate
Yeah.
additionally,
Hmm.
or
It's at a
and
discount.
then and so what if you didn't want them to print your books anymore? How does that what if you wanted to sever ties and somebody else to print your books? And I'm just going to make up some numbers.
Yeah.
Say they're printing each book for $5 a
Yeah.
copy, and you now find somebody to print your book for $3 a copy.
Yeah. There's a
Okay.
contract period that I need to stay within, right? So I think my contract period was 2 years or something like that. And at that point, I can decide whether I want to stay with him or go with someone else.
Okay. Because all the hard work has been done,
Yes, absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know, essentially. And so once your 2-year contract period is up, you could self-print
Yes.
or
I,
self-publish or
I could choose another printer and everything is mine. I own the rights
mhm,
to everything. Yeah.
mhm. So you could choose another printer
Yeah.
for that. That's very interesting because although you hear people say, "Well, I self-published," or "I went with this publishing company or that publishing
Yeah.
company," you kind of don't know what's right or what's wrong.
Right.
You know, you really have to think things through because you could go with an entity and find yourself in a really bad situation.
That's right. That's right. Reading contracts is always important, right? I went through it a couple days. I actually asked them for an extension to continue to review the contract and then had someone else put eyes on the contract so that I can make
Mhm.
sure that I'm making the best move, not only for myself, but for my son.
Okay, so like, was there a time limit when they gave you the contract?
Not, I wouldn't necessarily say a time limit, right? But of course, with any documentation, if you wait, prices change and all the fluctuations could happen, right?
Mhm, mhm,
That wasn't the case with Christian. They were very amazing. They were amazing.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. I got it. And so where did they fall in the process of you reviewing them? Was there, other, how can I put it, other organizations that you took a look at that you just
Yeah.
decided not to go with, or where did they fall?
Yeah, I prayed about it. I prayed about it before I made any moves. And I decided that, God will lead me. So I went out, I looked at a couple. I didn't like what I was really seeing. And then I searched Christian publishing companies. And they
Mhm.
were one of the first to pop up. And so I followed up with them, had some great conversations. And that was ultimately how I chose them.
Awesome. I'm curious, what's one or two of the big differences that you found between Christian faith and someone that you did not choose?
Their foundation, and reading who they are, what they are about, that really sold me. They are truly a Christian company. Their founders are, rooted in the Word. Most of the content that they put out is Christian based,
Okay,
and so that was the outlier for me.
okay, that is excellent. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
Do you think you might follow up with another book?
I do.
Really? Same subject matter or something
Same
different?
subject matter, and I'm deeming it the evolution continues. I think, when we talk about cancer, we talk about chemotherapy, radiation, and surgeries, right? But nobody talks
Mhm,
about what happens after. What are the
mhm,
things that happen post treatment?
mhm,
And I think that's a conversation that we need to have some good vulnerability and transparency in that.
mhm, mhm. So I definitely hear you. Can you give us a little glimpse of, be specific about what you mean?
Yeah. So a great example is post mastectomy, right?
Okay.
Or let's just say you have an estrogen based cancer like mine. Um,
Mhm,
Immediately following that was a hysterectomy, right? And so
mhm.
the process emotionally that you go through with that, although I knew I was done having kids, it's twins kind of the twins sealed that for me.
Yeah,
Um,
they sealed the deal.
they sealed the deal, but I knew that that's still a big thing. I'm only in my 30s, mid 30s, and I'm going through now menopause. Who's
Mm,
ready for that,
mm,
right? And the adjustment that needs to happen. All the things that you go through in a marriage with menopause, all the things that we don't talk about. We don't talk about those taboo subjects. We don't talk about all of that stuff. And I think it's important. I think it's a valid conversation that needs to happen, especially now that, Black women are diagnosed at a higher rate. We
mm-hmm,
also know that we have higher or mortality rates when it comes to breast cancer.
mm-hmm,
We're diagnosed later, right? We're getting diagnosed more and more at early ages, right? I know a young lady
mm-hmm.
that was diagnosed at 17 for the first time, right? She's a twice survivor, twice over survivor at 17. We need to have these conversations, and there is so much more advocacy that happens when you know what you've gone through, how you can support, how it needs to change. There needs to be a voice to that.
Mm, mm. All right. Well, I am there for this next book. I am there for it. Come on, let's get it done. You know what? I don't think we're gonna have to wait 2 years because see, you worked out the kinks.
I think
You
God
know
is he's in the midst of it. I trust him, and I feel like it's been laid on my heart for a reason. The only thing stopping me is me.
that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Just you know what? Yes and amen. Yes and amen. I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give you a round of applause, some big
Thank
ups.
you.
Woo! Woo! I am so thankful that I have met you. Are there any words of wisdom that you want to leave our audience with?
I think everybody has a story. And the one thing that I learned through this process is just like there are a number of different types of lotions, of brands of tennis shoes and purses, your story matters. If you
Mm,
decide that that you want to tell your story, by all means, get to writing.
get to writing. Get to writing. Now, you know what? I like that. That's a fine point. Get to writing.
Yes. Yes.
You have to get disciplined.
You got to get the action in. And I mean,
Mhm,
everyone's, like I said in the beginning, everyone's process is different. What works for me may
mhm,
not work for you, but figure out what works. If it's voice memos, if it's typing messages to yourself on your phone, if it's journaling, right? Get one journal and make it specific for your book and do what you need to do to get the job done. The voice needs to be heard, the stories need to be told. You're the right one to do it.
Oh, wow. Faith without works is
Dead.
bam. We better get to work. Get to writing, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. You guys have a blessed and beautiful night. Share this with someone because we need to tell our stories. Bye bye for now.